I mean, Longitude or TBM 930, which one's better? I mean, that's just a question that will start a huge argument amongst the flight sim community, right? Oh, hey, we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And today we are back at Boston International Airport, and we are back in the Cessna Citation Longitude, getting ready to update the Longitude tutorial guide. Stick around. If you are interested in acquiring any of my Overkills tutorial guides from Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides, as well as any future releases that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below. All right, you guys, for those of you who are unaware, I also have a Cessna Citation Longitude tutorial guide taking you from Logan International Airport in Boston over to Minneapolis. The guide walks you through absolutely everything that you need, from cold and dark in Boston to a shutdown in Minneapolis. We have a few updates coming based on the latest AAU2 update provided by Working Title with a Cessna Citation Longitude, but that guide will be updated and the new version will be released this week. So I hope you guys consider joining me on Patreon. It certainly helps me beyond way more than what I could ever express. And so stick around to find out what those changes are going to look like. I'll talk to you guys in a minute. Alrighty, friends. Let's go ahead and get the show started today. I love the Longitude. The Longitude is just an absolute blast. And I really meant what I said. It's actually kind of a battle between Longitude and TBM 930 on which one I like better. But obviously they both have their own place in the world, so it really depends on what you're doing with it, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with this little shindig here, shall we? One of the things that I have found is that the fuel sync on board that is with the AAU2 update that offers the performance numbers down in the GTC. You still have to load the aircraft from, in order for it to be accurate, you still got to load the aircraft from here. So we're going to go ahead and take care of that right now. We need 8,024 pounds is what we're looking for. So let's get that on board. There we go. 8,024. Oh, how about that? No, I didn't plan that, but you know what? We'll take that extra 2 pounds because it's just that cool. All right, let's see what our payload looks like. Doodar. Payload, we have a total of 1.8, so 1,800 pounds in payload. They have us at 8 passengers. I don't know if I feel like carrying 8 passengers today, but let's see what we got. All right, so payload, let's come back over here. What are we currently at? 830. Definitely very low, and we need about 1,800. There we go. So we got our weight set, we got our fuel set. Let's go ahead and rock and roll. The rest of this process did absolutely get quite a bit easier. So let's get back to the guide because we're going to go step by step through this bad boy. There's only really a couple pages that I am determining. There's a couple that have to be removed. Actually, there's elements of the cockpit that are blatantly gone from when I first wrote this guide. Not many, but there are a couple, in fact. The really cool part about my guide, though, that I will give you guys a hint on, is it walks you through every single page in the G5000. So if you're interested in configuring weights, units, changing, displays, things like that, it will tell you how to do all of that. So let's see here. All right, so before we start, set your weight and fuel. We just did that. And now let's start walking through our cockpit. All right, so we want to make sure our parking brake is set. Throttles are at idle. Flaps are retracted. Spoilers are retracted. Standby power test switch and all that good stuff here. So first we're going to go down to test. Then we're going to flip it to the on. Both batteries, 1 and 2, in the on position. Now, a couple things that I've noticed with the new Longitude is the generator switches are automatically on. So that's going to be something that I actually adjust. We need to make sure we turn those off. I wish it had state saving. Same thing with the APU gen. That switch is automatically set to on. I don't like that. Doesn't make sense to me. Because one of the steps that you have to do later on, for example, you got to turn the APU gen off. So anyway, things like that I am noticing. So let's keep moving on down. So APU generator. Oh, let's do the APU start switch. There we go. So we're going to come on over to the APU. Go ahead and give her a start. APU performance can be monitored right here. We're going to do a reset on the APU generator. And then once it gets to 100%, we'll turn it on. Where did you go? Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Close enough APU generator. Bring it to life, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's see what we got here. Recog lights can come on. We can turn our wing lights on. Safety lights, seatbelt signs. The aircraft's done being fueled. And let's see here. Emergency exit lights need to go to the armed position. You can adjust all of your lights as desired. Simulating, we got clearance from air traffic control. Go ahead and set our barometric pressure. And let's set that transponder. It's funny because like there's so many things that I want to do right now. Like I just want to jump on it and go. And I'm trying to follow the guide step by step. So I'm like, no, be patient, Mike. All right, coming on down and let the flight plan action begin. Now, two different ways we can do this now. Okay. Personally, my preference is always to enter them in manually. Okay. But you can now use the SimBrief integration and have the flight plan imported direct. Now, one of the really cool things they've done here is, for example, if we request it, we'll go ahead and request it in this one. The guide walks you through both. In the guide, first you go through it manually, and then right after you've entered it manually, it gives you the option where if you want to skip this portion and just import it, it talks you how to do this part. Hit import. And you can see it comes to life. So here's the cool part, right? So the cool part, it gives you your departure and your arrival. Now, it does not give you the approach. It doesn't give you the approach because technically, obviously, all of that information can change based on wind, ATC, blah, blah, blah. A giant duck crash landed on the runway and you have to divert. I mean, there's just a bunch of things that could happen. So it basically just did everything for us. So that is the cool part there, right? But for me, typically, that's not as fun. I actually like entering it in. Call me weird. And we can go ahead and actually go into our procedures. Well, we'll enter the approach as we get in closer. We'll do the approach later. But the guide does walk you through how to obviously set up the approach as well if you want everything entered in right now. But we'll enter it in on cruise, give us something to do. Okay, so we've got all of that done. Now here's where the next step, where I was going to show you guys. I want to show you guys a really cool thing that I have. And this was, it kind of bums me out that AAU2 sort of resolved this issue because these two charts were a pain in the ass, yes, I said it, to find when I made this guide. Information on the real world longitude is still so limited. Man, this thing's like under lock and key. But check this out. So this is what was really cool that I was really proud of that I found were these two charts that have how we calculated V speed and everything like that. Unfortunately, I mean, I'm going to leave this in. I'm not going to take this out. So we're going to be the same principles we talked about the flight plan. You'll have the option to either use the chart, which is always good to double check everything. And it lets you know, I will tell you this much. It lets you know if your numbers are off, reference these charts and be like, all right, something's missing, right? Whether it be your weight, fuel, something's going to throw something off. But these were right on top. I was actually really impressed. I think the numbers that we'll probably see here today, I think, for example, V2 is like 2 knots slower in the performance computer. And it kind of makes sense when you look at that the chart is using a weight range versus the computer's probably calculating exactly. But I was so proud of myself when I found these charts. Heartbreaking. Anyway, so let's go ahead and close that down. But again, this is still in the guide and it ain't going anywhere. So you have something to reference everything by if you guys need it. So let's come back down here. And now we're going to go to the performance page. And this is one of obviously the newer advancements to the AAU2 update. Cruise and stores, weights and balances. This is totally up to you guys how you want to do this. I have it set at 325 pounds, kind of a base load. Again, this may change your numbers 1 or 2 knots, nothing crazy. So really whatever you want to set that up, unless you start getting nuts, right? Then that's going to change things. So what we have here, assuming that it's going the same as SimBrief, is you have 1,000 pounds there. Cargo weight, if we go back to our SimBrief, I'll pull it directly from the flight plan. According to our spreadsheet here, we have 400 pounds in cargo. So drop that in. That shows a zero fuel weight of 25,114 pounds. Hang on a second. Let me see. I'm just curious what SimBrief is showing as our zero fuel weight. Wow. Guys want to see this? It's kind of cool. Hang on a second. They definitely got it dialed in real well. This, I will say the updates that we're going to make to this guide are going to be kind of fun. Hang on a second. I got to find... Oh, it helps if I use the right display. Let's open up the browser. Sorry, I wasn't prepared. I wasn't necessarily going to show the flight plan. Here we go. Check this out. So, I'm going to pull it back down for just a second. Notice there, zero fuel weight, 25,114 pounds. Now, it's still off, but this is pretty damn close. This is one of the closest that I've seen. 25,229 pounds. So, I mean, that's just... I ate too much at Red Lobster last night, you know, kind of thing, and I'll gain 100 pounds. You know what I mean? So, that's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. So they, we're pretty close to in line with SimBrief here. That's kind of cool. I don't normally see that with a lot of the profiles, at least in regard to Microsoft Flight Simulator. So anyway, I just wanted to show that. That's pretty neat. So if you set this up right, you'll get pretty damn close to what SimBrief is thinking. And the closer you are to what SimBrief is doing, the more accurate a flight plan you're going to have. So it kind of works out nicely. Anyway, sorry, I digressed. All right, so let's see where we're at here. So this is where things start to change is in our performance numbers. Let me get OBS out of my damn way. There we go. So then we're going to go to takeoff. Fuel on board, let's just sync it. And this is why you want to set it up in your weights and balances first. And make sure that that matches out. So we've already burned a little bit of fuel with the APU. We've actually burned a lot of fuel with the APU. Huh. We burned 60 pounds of fuel already just sitting here with the APU running. Yeah, I put it back. What? Sue me. It's still not quite right. And I have noticed that too. The poundage isn't always quite right according to what we're expecting. So I'm actually just going to put this at 8,020 and load that in. Landing. We'll go ahead and leave that as is. We're obviously not ready for landing here. So takeoff, we got all of our takeoff information there for fuel, so we're going to back out one more time. So we've got our weights and fuels done. Now let's go to our takeoff data, and this is where things get pretty cool. So really what we're interested in, we're going to come down to weather, all right? And you can load your live METAR information, gives you your wind information, which that is slicker than crap. I have noticed with temperature, you still need to pull it. Now I use Navigraph, which I'm going to do right now, you guys. I'm going to keep this off screen because I'd have to create a screen share for it. But basically I'm going to Navigraph. I'm opening up the charts. I'm going to airports. I'm searching for Boston. So let's search for Boston. Here we go. KBOS. I'm hitting the little tower icon. I'm clicking where it says weather. And we're going to find what our temperature is. Temperature is currently 24. So let's see what they've got here. So I'm kind of curious. So interestingly enough, though, and this is where I'm curious. Let's see what Microsoft Flight Simulator thinks it is. So we know this is showing 254 at, let's see here. Yeah, see, no, this is not what I'm showing. So Navigraph is showing 330 for 11 knots, gusting at 27 knots. Here we're showing 240, 13 knots, gusting at 20 knots. See if the altimeters are right. 2981. This is 2980. So yeah, that's a marginal difference. That just means they're probably pulling it from two different locations. But that wind information from 330 to 240, that's a big difference. That's a huge difference. So this is where it gets kind of tricky. I'm kind of curious what. Oops, wrong one. This is where creating some of these guides gets tough. So live weather is turned on. So it's pulling it from the sim. Okay. Well, let's use what the sim thinks it is. And temperature doesn't match either. All right, so we'll go with what the sim says it is today. My problem with using the sim and the reason why I stay away from this button is because there are so many times at major metropolitan locations that I still get where it says no METAR data available. And so I switched to Navigraph because I got tired of that crap. But for today's purposes, we'll use the in-game. Show the METAR again. All right, so our temperature, what was it? Let's see, we have an altimeter of 2980 and temperature is 24. All right, so let's drop our temperature in there, 24. Boom, there we go. Now that we have all of that information in, we can go to our takeoff data, and there's our V-speeds. So here's what I'm going to do and show you guys that this is kind of cool. So we're going to take our total aircraft weight now, So takeoff weight at, let's see here, 33,134. And according to the guide that I have, 33,000, let's see, that was 33,124. 33124. See here, they've got our V2 at 130 knots. And I've got my V2 at 126 knots. So 4 knot difference. Rotation speed is actually the same. V1, my chart shows 2 knots faster. So it's really it's really hit or miss, but I mean that's a good sign. That really is a good thing. Trim, I've got a trim showing of, I'm showing trim at negative 4.5 degrees is what our nose up, 4.5 degrees. So that's pretty good. So we'll go ahead and accept the takeoff speeds. And that's our performance numbers done. Speed bugs, they should automatically populate once you hit accept numbers. So that's really it. Flap speeds, you can go ahead and set them here as you like. These are actually pretty darn accurate. About 180 knots. So flaps 1, I had the pleasure of speaking to a real-world longitude pilot when I was creating my guide. I'm obviously not going to give any more information than that because, like I said, everything in the longitude is very hush-hush. But one of the things that I was told was that typically, actually, as pretty much about the time they drop below 250 knots, they're usually deploying flaps 1. So that's what my guide reflects. And then right around 190 to 200 knots is when we go flaps 2. So that part was right. He said gear down. Typically gear can be anywhere from 180 all the way down to 160. It really depends on the approach and what you're doing. At 140 knots, you do need to be at flaps full. So it's really dependent. But anyway, I thought that was kind of neat information. Figured I'd give you guys a couple of side pieces of info there. That was kind of fun. But that's it, guys. Look at that. We knocked all the performance numbers out. The aircrafts, we're ready to move forward. So let's, I guess we won't dizzle dazzle here. Let's go ahead and keep on going. What's the word? Dilly dab? Dilly dab, that's what it is. Dilly dab. We do need to set that wonderful trim. Let's go ahead and set our nose trim. Stabilize the trim. What I do, I haven't set a key bind on it yet. Oops. So I just set it to manual mode and then trigger it, and the stabilizer trim is right there. And the cool thing is that this aircraft will literally sort of just pick itself right up off the ground once it hits its rotation speed, which is really nice. Okay, so we've got all of our V speed set up. Both nav sources are set to the FMS. We can see that there. Although, I do like my... Oh, no, I don't want that. I want PFD settings. There we go. Yeah, man. It'd be nice when the pathways and airport signs and all that becomes available. I can't wait till they do that. That'll be slick. I really like that. Anyway, that's what I want. I like the synthetic terrain view. I noticed that wasn't showing. Okay, so we've got FMS set. We need to set our initial altitude. Looks like we're going to 12,000 feet is our initial target altitude today. We're not using ATC today. There we go. 12,000 feet. We're going to rock the FMS speed, 180 knots. That's another thing that I no longer have to worry about. We used to have to change that manually because it was not correct. All right, let's keep on going here. So we don't have to use the speed manual anymore. That's no longer a requirement. That used to be something that we had to do too. So we can turn our flight directors on. That's obviously definitely a must. And once again, we're just going to re-verify. Parking brakes are set. Wheel chocks have been removed. Spoilers are retracted. Throttles are at idle. Anti-collision lights, go ahead and turn those on. There they go. And fuel valves. This is where this gets interesting. So, with the fuel valves, that's no longer required. But they used to be right here. So these are the fuel boost pumps, but there actually used to be a fuel valve switch here. So I actually need to go ahead and I'm just going to remove that where I'm right here with you guys. And I think what we're going to do is just make sure that the boost pumps are on. Because dang. It's good stuff. And it's little things like this that have changed with the longitude. It's nothing crazy. That's the nice part. I thought that the longitude was going to require significantly more work. And then as I started to dive into it, I realized that it's not so much major changes as it is just a bunch of little things that are no longer necessary or have been adjusted. But that's good stuff. All right, let's move on down. Okay, so let's go ahead and get these bad boys started. So the first thing that we're going to do is remove the operation cover, turn it to run, and hit engine 2 start switch. As soon as you get, let's see if that behavior is still the same. It is indeed. Actually, it's not, so that's changed too. Interesting. Okay. Anyway, let's hit the start switch. There she goes. I think what they did is they might have moved my N2. Let's find out on the left engine. Nope, there is no N2 action, no nothing, until we hit that start switch. Good to know. Okay. So a couple changes there, and I honestly don't know which one's more accurate on that. And that's unfortunately one of those ones where you're just going to have to, I'm just going to have to sort of rough that out and figure it out later, because certainly things have changed. All right, let's turn our generators on. If we're in icing conditions, you can turn on your icing protection systems. We can now turn the APU gen off. Make sure that the ELT, emergency locator transmitter, is in the armed position. It is armed. Transponder's already set to auto. Outside lights are set. Let's go ahead and turn our taxi lights on. And we're just about ready for action here, guys. So, let's release the parking brake and let's get going. Oh, one more thing. Set our flaps for takeoff. Notice the no takeoff flag went away. Now, one of my favorite parts about the Longitude is how quickly she climbs. This thing grips it, rips it, twists it. Ah! I just realized I'm taking it from the wrong direction here, guys. Have fun with that comment. Tailwind takeoff in an extremely windy day. Don't do this at home, guys, and we should be taking off from the other end of the runway, but I'm going to save us time for this video. So, here we go.
Foolish it is.
.20 knot tailwind. There are so many things wrong with this takeoff. I know you're mad at me, girl. I know you are. I really do. Flap speed. Apparently, I don't have my flaps bound for this aircraft. Oh, don't you go too fast. Where's my VNAV? There you are. Alright, let's monitor our flight plan. Nav mode is engaged. Means auto throttle did not engage correctly. FMS speed is showing 250 knots, but she's continuing to climb. 280 knots now. There it goes. I did not realize Toga was engaged. I just saw that. Alright, well, that was my fault, so that's an easy fix. Cool. Well, that's beautiful. Holy crap. That was gorgeous. Alright, we're already coming up on our 12,000 feet. Like I said, this thing grips it and rips it. Alright, I did get the landing lights off. I didn't turn the damn taxi light off, though. And let's keep on going here. Alright, here. Let's send us out to... Well, let's just go up to our cruise. Cruise altitude today is 43,000 feet. Let's change that, shall we? There we go. Da, 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 da.
VNAV.
Actually, use flight level change. Off we go. Alright, so let's see what we got going on here. So we could start playing around with some of this stuff here. Check out our weather radar. Kind of working. Nothing, huh? It's pretty awesome. This thing has come such a long way from when I made this guide. It's all little stuff, like I said, but man, it really has changed a lot. Oh, hey, we should probably get into standard. So now that we're up at cruise, this is sort of the next part of the guide that actually, if anything, they saved me a ton of things. We're going to get to pull a whole lot of this out. I'm going to leave a lot of our VNav information in simply to show you how to do it manually if it's needed. But let's see here. If we bring this up, with the AAU2, it's all done automatically now. So all I had to do now is once you're up at cruise level, if we pull the cam down, you go into your flight plan, go to your VNav, and it automatically calculates your top of descent based on your destination. So they've really done a fantastic job with this. They truly have. AEU2 has made the longitude much more simple to fly. Again, I'm going to leave a lot of the information that is in the guide there, simply for reference in case you ever, need a way to calculate it yourself. But at the end of the day, same thing with the departure. Now that they've corrected a lot of the takeoff speeds and restrictions and made the FMS, when the longitude first launched and they created the guide, the FMS was pretty unreliable as far as the speed settings go. Things were all over the place, but now that it honors restrictions and things like that, it's made a lot of this stuff significantly easier to fly. So it's really enhanced the overall capability of the longitude in Microsoft Flight Simulator and made it significantly easier for us as the pilots to fly. So guys, we are quite a ways away. We're almost 2 hours away from our top of descent into Minneapolis. So I will catch you guys as we get closer. All right, my friends, so let's go ahead and start looking into pulling in a few more things here. So we know that we are coming down on the star now. And I know that Croy, I think, is our last one. Runway 12 right. Actually, so let's use 8,000 feet. Let's use Greek. Looks like that's our star today. So I'm going to set our target altitude down to 8,000 feet. Now, the aircraft's not going to start to descend until we reach our top of descent point, but I'm going to show you guys that in just a minute. Oops, too far. We've got a top of descent point in about 9 minutes. So if we scroll in here, there's the TOD right there. So I think if I zoom this out, maybe one. Maybe we can do another one. Let's see if we can do one more. 50 miles. Can we get away with one more, or is it going to go off the screen? There it is. Cool. So just after Camaro, we're going to get our top of descent. So now that we have already set our altitude, our desired target, below our cruise level, as soon as we reach that top of descent point, the auto throttle is automatically going to reduce speed, and the aircraft will begin to pitch down and descend. And the nice thing is it will honor any altitude restrictions as we go down the line based on the, star chart. So this should be pretty cool. They've really done a fabulous job. So I took a bunch of pages out of our guide, like the manual calculation back in the day of using top of descent calculators, bearing distance, and all that good stuff. We don't really need to do that anymore. So I actually got to take quite a few pages out. I've added a couple things in so far while we've been sitting here on break. Up at cruise, but there really aren't as many changes as I thought was going to have to happen. I thought that there was so much that changed, but there was actually quite a few things that As I'm diving a little bit deeper into it now, I'm starting to realize that there was a couple things I was misunderstanding about the new avionics systems and think that they were doing something that they didn't. I'm not going to bore you guys with all the details on that, but quite a few things clicked as I've been playing with things here. So still got a bit more to work on when it comes to the performance numbers. The performance pages are still a little iffy to me as far as when to do what. So for example, our landing data. Let's see here. So we should be loading our weather. Let's see if we can just load the MEDAR information. Oh, why did it give us our temperature at the destination, but not when it was time for us to take off? That kind of sucks. Well, hey, there we go. Never mind. Everything worked absolutely perfectly. So we can even set up our aircraft landing speeds now. Yeah, dude, they took a lot out. This G5000 is a beast. It's a beast. With the engine start process, got a few things that, again, were made a bit simplified. The gauges are a bit different, so new screenshots, things like that. Takeoff procedures, I have to adjust just because you no longer have to do it manually. Again, when I first created this guide, everything was manual TODs, manual altitude selections, manual speed selections. Otherwise, the aircraft, the FMS wouldn't honor the correct speeds, or the speeds that it would use would be all over the place. I mean, it was just, there were so many things when the Longitude first released. It's like, well, I mean, let's be real here. When I first started creating the guide, you had to use a mod. There was a mod that actually made the aircraft a bit more accurate, and we got to pull that out. That's no longer necessary by a long shot. So really good stuff. The aircraft has really been very, very refined. Wow, that was odd. What the hell was that? Like, talk about a wind shear. Holy crap. Anyway, so you guys saw how we prepared for the top of descent. Once the aircraft reaches it, again, she'll start descending automatically. So I'll see you guys as we get closer to transition altitude. In which case, we'll just set the barometric pressure based on our destination. And that's the other cool part, is that now from the destination, it's going to hear your weather page, show your MEDAR information, and you know what your landing altimeter is right there, 29909. So, I mean, we'll check that as it gets closer, obviously, because that could change between now and then, but man, she came a long way. And at the same token, like, I'm sitting here deleting a whole bunch of pages out of the guide, and at the other hand, it's like, I want to cry because they were such a pain in the ass to do. They were, a lot of these pages that I'm taking out, man, they took a lot of work, a lot of math, a lot of research, a lot of trying to figure out how to get things just right for the Longitude, because she was such a, and still is, a very hush-hush airplane when it comes to how she works. Cessna really has this thing under lock and key, which I get, or Textron, I should say. But, man, it's kind of depressing how many pages I've deleted. So much work. But anyway, so yeah, guys, the reason why I'm doing this live with you guys on the video here, or I guess I shouldn't say live, but doing this with you guys on the video here so you guys know that the guide is coming. It will be released this week with a new update and have more accurate information for you guys, so just stick around with me. All right, so once again, I even had this really awesome chart. This was another one that was a pain in the ass to find for the, basically the same thing that we had for the takeoff. And I had this for our landing reference, which is still extremely handy. I still like the manual charts. I think they give a little bit more insight as to what the heck's going on and where the speeds are coming from. But, kind of heartbreaking. Anyway, damn technology. So we are very close. Let's see where we're at on the VNAV. 20 seconds. And you can see all of the VNAV information is already displayed. Next target altitude restriction, we need to be above 22,000 feet. We have VNAV enabled here, and the vertical flight path enabled, and our descent rate enabled. So this is the target flight path. There's the descent rate. Looks like right around 2,000 feet per minute. Throttles are rolling back. And down we go. I mean, just, it's a cakewalk now, guys. Anyway, see you right about transition altitude, guys. Look at that beautiful sight. Holy cow. That is gorgeous. I had to save that picture. Okay, so we're getting close. Start walking through the rest of this here. Alright, so now it's time to start looking at our ILS information. So let's start looking at that. Let's go down to our nav radios, audio and radio. And look at that. It's already got our ILS dialed in. Gotta love modern avionics. We've got a ways to go here, guys. So the biggest thing is really that there's so much manual information that was put into this guide that just isn't needed anymore. It's really freaking heartbreaking. I just can't stress enough, man. Oh, mercy. This was a lot of things that are going to be a lot shorter. The guide is still valuable, thank goodness. Still very valuable. But, boy, I wish I'd written it today. Well, guys, I'm going to see you guys as we get to our approach is really what this is going to come down to. So let's go ahead and, well, I'm going to enter our procedures in. Runway 12 right is what we're looking at. Vectors is what it's saying. Alright. Altitude restriction of 10,000. Going back to the guide, let's see what our approach plate is here. Decision height is 1023 feet. See what else we got here. From here down, really, it's just a matter of actually, I'm going to double check that. I don't think our ILS frequency is correct. Stand by on that. When I made the guide, I wasn't using live weather. Let's see here. KMSP, I believe. Yep, Minneapolis. Approach. ILS. See what we got. 110.3. I knew that was wrong. Ah, what the hell? just had to like show me up there. It's because I didn't have the approach into the procedure menu. I know why. It was like, ah, nope, gotcha again. Another thing that you don't have to do. All right, fine. Just keep messing with me. That's cool. All right, guys. Well, we are coming down at it here, so I'm going to set our descent altitude. What's our landing elevation here? 840 feet. Missed approach altitude is 1,300, so let's set that. Wait a minute. Really? Missed approach. Climb to 1,300, then right... Oh, 3,000. Let's do 3,000. There we go. Coming down below 10,000. This lovely, scary mess. Look at that. It was so beautiful up top. It was so pretty. Gotta get some water. Yeah. That is dark. All right, so we have our speed bug set, but let's go ahead and double check the speed bugs while we're here. Let's just make sure that we caught everything. Performance page, landing data. I'm gonna go landing config. Still showing the same. Oh, meter information changed. Looks like it's got everything that we need. It's kind of scary, isn't it? There's the outer marker. Airspeed set for 230 knots. Go ahead and go flaps 1. Now this part I still like to do. I'm still going to use manual speed control on the descent. So that part I'm going to leave in. Don't need to worry about vertical speed or anything like that, but it's going to be just about time to activate the approach here. Oh my gosh, I never set my altimeter. Whoops. My bad. I set the altimeter, but I never actually... That's what I get for cheating. I used the B key. This is so cool. Let her continue the descent, and actually let's just go to procedures. Oops. They're in heading mode. Alright guys, so I want to remind everyone I am on Sim update 13 beta. And as we started getting into the descent, the frame rate went to hell. And I've never had any trouble on 2D. I have a RTX 4080, and I have never had a problem flying through storms, etc. So I had to remove the weather, and that seemed to clear a lot of it up. I have noticed a major performance decrease when approaching runways ever since I installed the beta. So hopefully that's something that they've ironed out. But we are going to set ourselves back up for another approach here. I basically did a go around. I would have loved to have shown you guys, but again, the frame rates were awful. At one point, I got down to 500 feet. I'm scraping treetops, and every couple seconds, a new frame was generating, and I was in a far worse spot. I'm not quite sure how I got out of that one. I got lucky. But I've got us back up to 3,000 for the missed approach altitude. We're going to come back around and try this again. Landing gear is up. Flaps are now at flaps 2 as we're walking about 170 knots. So I'm going to bring us back around again and see what happens here. Because that was no bueno. So make sure both nav radios are selected. All right, let's try this again. Go a little further and then we'll come back around. Make sure the approach is activated. I'm going to reselect the approach, actually. I'm thinking something went south. Load and activate. Alright, there we go. Let's see if that doesn't work a little bit better. Let's set our guidance back to FMS for a second. It brings us around. Let's go back into nav mode. See if we have a better experience. Everything was going really well there too, and then like the frame rate just like it was so bad. It was so bad. Like I would guess somewhere in the area of like 5 to 10 frames per second. Like it, I don't know what happened, and I haven't experienced that kind of performance since the very early days. Sure everything else is still set. Everything got really weird there, man. That was just a crazy experience for me. I did not enjoy that at all. I thought I was going to crash. I thought I was going to hit the ground. Like every time that a new frame would pop in, I was in a worse condition. Well, this seems to be going better now. We've got our glide slope indicator. Shows that we're below it, which is good. Let's re-verify our altimeter pressure. Is it really 29 or 9 or 2? What are the odds? Oh, never mind. Yes, it is 2992 because I disabled live weather again because the storm was causing such a problem. That was really like it was bad. Like I wish there was a way for me to show you guys. There just isn't. Like everything just tanked out, man. No bueno. But it is one of the things that we risk when being on a beta. But look at it this way. It's a really pretty day. Evening, I should say. I'd really like to try again. It got so bad, man. Maybe we can do something just to add some sense of. Nah, I'm watching it. It's doing it again. It's already starting to tank again. This poor plane's like, stop it! Okay, so we're just going to land in the clear weather. I don't want to ruin the whole video and the whole flight. Alright, are we tracking the localizer? Says we are. So let's go ahead and switch the localizer 1. Let's hope there isn't a bug. I don't think we're too far to activate approach mode. No, I don't know. It wouldn't activate. Course is correct. Minimums are set. Altimeter's right. Localizer's following. Good. Got the localizer locked? Excellent. There we go. That's better. That's better. That's what we want to see. Glide slope's coming down. Approach mode armed. And glide slope acquired. FMS speed is not adjusting though, so we're going manual. And actually it looks like we lost our approach speeds. You guys see the lagging already? We are getting lag. That's crazy, dude. And like I said, I've been seeing a lot of this lately. Since the update to Sim Update 13 beta. Nope, come down. I'm just gonna let her run in manual here. We've obviously got more testing to do. There we go. Alright, now everything's working great. Yeah, I'm getting some frame rate loss. I'm getting some stuttering. No bueno. Autopilot disengaging. Continuing.
100. 50.
Ooh. Well, that was exciting. I'm so glad I didn't hit the ground. I really thought that that framing was going to keep on happening, and then all of a sudden it was going to show me piling into a building. Like, it was terrible. That frame rate was so bad. Alright, flaps up, spoilers are retracted. Flight director's off. Landing lights off. Alright. Well, in the interest of there is still more to do here, guys, and I have to walk through this next part and figure out what happened there. This might be a situation where I do at least rewrite some of the location information. I don't know if it's the airport. This is the airport that I flew to in the guide, so it may be time to change that. Like, I've noticed Las Vegas. Las Vegas, guys, let me know if you're having trouble. I know someone else commented in one of my previous videos that they were too. Let me know if you guys are having trouble flying into Las Vegas. Every time I get near Las Vegas, and I'm talking about like near, like on the approach, within the last 1,000 feet, I would say, frames just go right down the crapper. So there's definitely some optimization that has failed with Las Vegas. Unless, you know, of course, you guys aren't experiencing it too. But anyway, as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it useful. Let me know what you guys think. And stay safe and healthy. And I will see you guys in the next one. And keep an eye out for the new release, the Cessna Citation Longitude Guide on Patreon. Thank you guys to all of my current subscribers. You guys really make a difference. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.